We're back in the studio, and congratulations once again to Mark Hammond for an excellent total on the 100 miler. As you could see, Mark has decided to call it a day. Obviously, he has won the 100-mile portion of the Desert Solstice race, but he's good with it. And I liked hearing you and Patrick talk
too. We so we just, I think the feed cut out there for a minute, huh?
I think it might have at the very end.
We got part of the interview there?
Oh yeah, we got most of it.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, so we just saw Mark Hammond. What was his official time?
I want to say it was
12:35.
12:35, awesome. So he he came in real strong there at the end. So he was talking about, he mostly was talking about the turns. He's like 8 hours of whatever, making left turns and 4.5 making right turns, and he didn't seem too happy about those left turns, so
okay, like the right ones.
He would have probably liked a little bit more balance. I guess we're live.
We are live indeed.
So hopefully that gave you guys a little bit of excitement for the night. He said he was thinking about DNFing, and he had a pretty rough patch there from, I think, mile 40 to 50. But yeah, he pulled it together and came away with a 30-minute PR basically, and the 3rd fastest time of the year so far. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna check what.
Gonna see if we've got any engagement on.
Yeah, if you guys have questions about
what's her name could be chasing.
Oh yeah, so top female time of the year for 100 miles is Casey Lichtai. 15:32, so that's going to be the number that we're looking for Marisa Lizak.
Yeah,
that's the one. What's the second one?
15:34 at Rogers Bend.
Oh, 15:34. So they're all close. Yeah. 15:40, 50. So we could see the fastest women's 100-mile time of the year here in less than 3 hours.
Yeah. So I think we checked the tracker.
She's got about 50 laps to go, and she's doing between a 2:25 and a 2:30 most laps. So
yeah, so 13 miles in 2 hours, or
2.5.
2.5 hours seems totally within reason.
Absolutely, yeah. She is
really
well under pace.
Yeah, I know she had been going for 15:30 as her kind of A goal, and I think she'll definitely get that. I mean, there's still 13 miles, I mean over 10% of the race, but she's looking strong, and so I think...
Is that her in the white over on the far side? Well, I guess there's 2 people in the white on the far side.
No, I think she's right over here in the singlet.
Oh, okay,
yellow
yes.
singlet. Yeah.
She actually hasn't changed clothes all day, I don't think. I think she's still wearing the same outfit.
We could do like check-in with her crew. He was super friendly. Really.
Oh, okay. Do you remember which one?
I think so.
Yeah. So maybe we could go back down to the track side and
get an update.
Do an update. So cool. Hopefully we can build our audience back up a little bit. So should we change our little teaser here before I go back down? Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So I should. Oh really?
I mean, she has 13 miles in 2 hours 20 minutes. And she's going faster than 10-minute pace, right? What did you say her laps were?
2:25 to 2:30 has been her pace range. So
2:30 would be 10-minute pace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
she's sub 15 is potentially in the cards.
Let's see. Is that how you spell it?
Sure. Yeah. 1S.
Again, if you've got questions or any sort of comments for us, feel free to drop a line on any of our feeds. We are monitoring them constantly. Let's see. Deneen Hangle is wanted to say go Dell. Dell's looked pretty solid recently. I know she was looking like she was going through a little bit of a rough patch earlier. She seems to be back on the move though. Let's see. Nicholas Zapansky said, I just wanted to send out a shout for Zach Zabaluski, is that how you pronounce his name?
Oh, yeah.
Zabaluski. Any chance for an update on his mileage?
Yeah, he's in 6th place currently with 79 miles. Yeah, so 6th place, 5th man, but if he's going for the full 24-hour, then Mark and Marisa will be, I think, out of the mix, so that'll move him up into 4th place.
And just as a quick update, we have had, obviously, as we mentioned, several racers pull out. Robbie Britton, earlier, as you mentioned, was having IT band issues. He withdrew about just under the 50K mark. Nicole Bitter withdrew at about mile 36. As I think it came up, JFK 50 turnaround was primarily her issue here. Zach Bitter, of course, stopped right at 100K, but that was what his intent was all along. And of course, as we mentioned, he set the U.S. track record.
Yep. Yeah. He held the record, and he broke his own record by close to 20 minutes. I think 19 minutes. So he went from 6:58 for the national 100K track record to 6:39. And that qualifies him for the World's team, as well as ranks him somewhere in the top, I think, probably 10-ish performances. I know, so the American record is Max King, just the overall 100K American record is 6:27 for Max King. And then, I know Jeff Burns is around 6:30. Pat Reagan, who's out here, and 6:30. Maybe 3 or so, but Zach's right up there with those guys with his 6:39 performance today.
Megan Laws withdrew at the 100K mark as well, but along the way she actually set an age group world best.
Two, yeah.
Oh, two.
100K and for, I think the world best for 50K. I think national age group for 100K.
Okay.
Well under for the 100K, and then for the world best, 3 seconds under for 50K.
Yeah, it was down to the wire when she crossed. The previous record was 3 hours, 56 minutes, and 55 seconds, and she came in at 3 hours, 56 minutes, and 52 seconds. So it was right down to the wire, but congratulations to Megan on an excellent day. Chad Rickfels withdrew at mile 58. I didn't see when he withdrew. Kyle Pitari withdrew at mile 69. I know that he was, as you mentioned, in a serious auto accident recently, and perhaps that contributed to his day ending earlier than anticipated. Lori Diamond withdrew at mile 64, and Susie Swinehart, somebody just recently asked about on our feed, had withdrawn at mile 71. And we've still got 5, 10, 13 people on the track, 9 men and 4 women. Actually, 12 people on the track, as Mark Hammond has called it a day as well. Of course, congratulations to Mark on an excellent 100-miler today. We've still got several runners looking to hit their marks. I think that the next, we've got Scott Trayer at he's working on mile 93 right now, so he's likely to be the next one, as he's gone a few miles on Marisa Lizak.
We had a question from Randy Cafaro. Do you change directions after a certain amount of time? Yes, every 4 hours on the race, which I think makes it pretty even for those going the full 24. But as we found out from Mark, it's a little uneven for those just doing, a fast 100. He said, he spent almost twice as much time turning left versus turning right. Do you think that's a factor at all, or do you think he's just didn't do enough work on the track? He said he basically just ran on a treadmill to get ready for this thing.
Yeah, it sounds like, I'm sure he walked away from this experience today with some probably lessons, but he definitely comes more from the trails, and this was his first real track experience. and I don't know, I just think it would be hard to prepare for everything. There's a lot of stuff that you're gonna learn as you go, but you didn't let that stop him tonight.
Yep.
John Lesterberg checked, or actually, thanks so much for the coverage. Been a blast checking in throughout the day, and really gets me stoked on the idea of running a timed event on a track. Have you ever run a timed track event, Patrick? That's from John Lesterberg.
Me, I run timed events, but not at track. Well, yeah, no. I was thinking, like, nope, just track in high school.
Like a 400? Maybe a mile? Technically, it was timed.
Yeah, it was timed.
But it was fixed distance.
Yeah, I've run some, like, 6-hour timed races, and then, yeah, that's, I guess, the longest timed races.
We also had a question from Bruce Holbert. I see several different shoes on the runners. Any insight on what you're seeing for shoes? I see Hoka and Ultra. Funny you should ask that, Bruce, as this is definitely Patrick's realm of expertise, as he literally went down to the track
we have
shortly after the start to talk about and to investigate what everybody was wearing.
Yeah, so we did a little recon research earlier today on what all the runners were wearing, the 21 runners who started, and I went down to the track and wrote down the names and models of all the shoes on their feet. Of course, some runners are going to be changing their shoes throughout the day, but most of them have kept them on to this point. And so yeah, what we learned was that there was a tie between Ultra and Hoka, with 1/3 of the field wearing Ultras, so 7 runners total wearing Ultra, and 7 runners total wearing Hoka. And most of them, there's kind of a mix. Zach was wearing very minimal shoes, kind of the lightest model that Ultra has, the Vanish XC, and then a lot of them were wearing the Torin, which is a little more plush, a little more cushioned. And from Hoka, we had a mix of Cliftons, Rincons, and then Lori Diamond was wearing the newer Carbon X shoe from Hoka. And the next closest brand behind Ultra and Hoka was Nike, and all 3 runners wearing Nike were wearing the new Nike Next Percent shoes. So that's Oswaldo, Lopez, James Elson, and Robbie Britton. We're all
It's not live.
Yeah, so they were all rocking the Nike Next Percents, and that brings us to 4 other runners who wore a mix of brands. Adela Salt was wearing a pair of the Asics Pursue road shoes. Megan Laws was wearing the North Face RKT, so the shoes that were designed for Rob Crar maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Zachary was actually the one runner wearing a pair of trail shoes, even though we're on a track, but they must fit his feet really well because he clearly likes them. So he was wearing the Saucony Peregrines, and then Rolf Schmidt was wearing a pair of New Balances. So yeah, as we kind of said, Ultra and Hoka dominated the field tonight, and then kind of a mix of other brands as well.
Dan Boyer asking what the temperature was on the track. Last I checked, it was 57 degrees. Tommy Taylor asking, is the Jester out here? I haven't seen him go by. The Jester is not out here this year. I know he's been out here in years past, but he is not here in 2019.
If you guys have questions for us in the chat room, please feel free to ask them. We have nothing better to do than answer them.
We're happy to answer any questions, and if we don't know the answer, we'll make something up or we'll find it.
So our next big milestone we're looking ahead to, well, first off, I mean, we have up on the screen, we're looking for Marisa Lizak, maybe sub 15 hours, maybe fastest women's 100-mile time of the year. So if you don't know that name, please familiarize yourself, because she's a rock star. But Scott Traer, he'll take the lead in the race here before Marisa hits her 100. So he's over 90 now, and he'll be passing Mark as Mark is done.
was looking at some of Marissa's recent finishes. She has an impressive resume as of late. As mentioned, she was the first American female at the Spartathlon. At Comrades in 2018, in a down year, she was the 4th female to finish, and then at ATY...
4th female overall at Comrades?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And at ATY, she did run in 2018 and totaled 130 on at ATY, which I believe won her the female number for that.
Oh yeah,
year
that's
as well.
a big number at ATY.
Yeah,
it's hard to get that.
It's a bit of a trickier course, not quite the oval that you have here. So, but yeah, so she has an impressive resume as of late. The Comrades number definitely stuck out when I was looking at her finishes. So. And Craig is still watching from the Boston area.
Oh, awesome.
Represent.
And thanks for watching.
John Lesterberg, thanks for not mispronouncing my last name. Give us time. I'll probably mispronounce it along the way somewhere. I love the interaction that we're getting from the audience. We love to try and answer as many questions as we can. If you've got any comments, suggestions, we're more than willing to take them into consideration. This is something that we kind of do that not only it's our effort, but it's also your effort as well as an audience. We love having the engagement, the questions, the fact that you're out here watching a fixed time loop race. We love it. We love being here, and we're glad that you're here joining in with us.
Going on 13 hours, so it's 9 p.m. here.
Jason Rutherford, I'm a race director.
Is that time?
This would be a question for you, Jamil. Jason Rutherford is a race director. He asks if it's tough to get permission to hold an event like this at a high school.
I think we had a bit of an in with a local ultra runner, and also he teaches here at the school and coaches here at the school, so we were able to get access to the track something like 8 or 9 years ago for the first time. But now we kind of deal directly with the school district. So oftentimes school districts do have a permitting process. I know there's quite a few running events that happen on tracks. So yeah, you just kind of have to contact your local school district and see what the permitting fees might be. They usually charge by the hour for the lights and some other things. A lot of times they also require a security guard on site. So I know that you've been to some other track races before.
Yeah.
Which ones have you been to?
Ethan Allen 24-hour in Vermont, and then also the Anchor Down Ultra in Rhode Island.
But those will be ones that are open to a lot more people, correct? Like there's bigger fields. Like this only has 20 to maximum 30 people last year, only 20 this year. How many do they put on the track?
I think they have, so they split it up between 6-hour, 12-hour, and 24-hour races. So it kind of staggers the runners throughout the day. And I know like Dawn to Dust to Dawn Ultra that Bill Schultz directs also does that. And so like say 24 hours starting at 7 o'clock, and then the 6-hour runners will hop in at 9 or 10 o'clock, and then the 12 hours runners will hop in for the final 12 hours at the 24. So that allows for kind of the field to spread out so that people aren't trampling each other. But they'll have upwards of like, I'd say maybe max 100 runners over the course of a day. But yeah, there's definitely a mix of performances. Not everyone is chasing kind of these elite level marks that we have here at Desert Solstice.
Keith Kozlowski asks if we can show the graphs of the runner's pace over time again. I think he must be referring to the model that Nick Curry had developed, and do we have a link to that possibly that we can maybe share on one of the feeds?
I know that I can pull that link up. I know that it was shared on our Twitter page, but I can pop it. Where is he, on Facebook or
he is
YouTube?
On YouTube.
Okay, I'll post the link in YouTube real quick. Let me grab that for you.
Awesome.
It's a little confusing to get. Like, I wish Nick Nick just made it today, but we can post some instructions or something. But yeah, you can go ahead and play around with it. But yeah, I'll post that here in just a second.
Rob Midge says hello for the coverage, or thanks for the coverage. Hello from Sydney down under. Glad to
Awesome.
have you here, Rob. Love hearing that we've got people from all over the country and all over the world. Maybe we'll do an audit as to where everybody is watching from. I know we did that last year and we got responses from everywhere. It was actually pretty fantastic to hear. Let's see, Dwayne Scott watching from Atlanta. Love the coverage. It's getting late there in Atlanta. Glad to see you're here with us. And Jason DeJonas, thanks for the coverage, and hello from Boston.
Oh, hey Jason.
Of course, every time somebody from Boston or from the Northeast, if they're a New Englander, Patrick
New England Track and Trail, represent.
Patrick is out here from Boston, so we're happy to have you. Randy Cafaro is checking in from the San Francisco Bay Area. Apparently it's raining there. We are fortunate that it's not.
We've had rainy Desert Solstice before.
How long has it been since you had one?
Long time. I feel like quite a while. It didn't rain last year, did it?
No.
Okay.
It was very nice. A little bit cold
I know
last
one
year.
year that Ian Sharman ran, he came and didn't put his jacket on in time and ended up getting hypothermia.
Oh.
But that he could just kind of push through and couldn't.
Run Wild, giving props to Scott Traer. Scott Traer is looking very good. We expect him to be taking over the race lead shortly, as we believe he is going to be continuing beyond the 100-mile mark. Jason Rutherford saying, thanks guys. I've done Javelina 3 times and hope to make it to Across the Years one day. Keep up the good work, Aravaipa. Jason, it's glad to see that you come out and participate in Javelina 100. That is quite an event. If you've never been out to Hammond 100, I strongly suggest that you make your way out there. You will see things that you don't normally see at 100-mile trail races.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, Scott Traer, he's currently our next to hit 100 miles. He's in 2nd place currently, and he's got about 24 laps to go until he hits his 100. He's at 94 miles currently, so it'll be a sub 14. Most likely.
Scott.
Let's see, John Lesterberg, have you ever thought about jumping into a track timed event, Jamil? This one.
This very race was designed for that purpose.
I don't know, not seriously, I guess. It's kind of intriguing, but I always just like covering this one. I don't know. I don't have a strong desire, I guess.
Bruce Holbert asks, Jamil, who is faster these days, you or your brother?
As of right now, today, I am, because he just had some sort of foot surgery. He had a PRP, platelet therapy. He had some bad plantar fasciitis for a couple years that he was just pushing through. So currently, I'm faster, but I would say as of lately, he's a lot faster than I am as of right now.
It's amazing that when I was talking to him earlier today, I didn't realize that he was pushing through that for as long as he was. I mean, he's had,
for sure,
the result at Worlds that, obviously was not up to his expectation, but here last year, of course, his 155-mile effort was a staggering thing to watch. An excellent Hard Rock finish in 2018, if I remember, or was it 2017 was his last Hard Rock finish. But
when it was, yeah, a couple years ago.
He'd been running very well despite what it sounds like had ended up being a surgery that sidelined him at this point. Lauren Yarborough, an Aravaipa race is on my bucket list. I travel to Phoenix often though. Best trails I should hop on between work commitments? Are you talking about here in this area, Lauren? Because I'm sure that if you were to ask 3 different people, you might get 3 different answers.
I would say if you're just popping into Phoenix for a temporary amount of time, I would say South Mountain is amazing, or McDowell Sonoran Preserve, probably the 2 highlights I would recommend people check out.
McDowell Sonoran Gateway is an excellent loop if you're just checking out a trail in Phoenix for the first time. It's a simple loop. You've got a decent amount of vert. I want to say about 700, 800 feet of climb on a 4.5-mile loop. It actually culminates in a saddle. There's tons of spurs off of the Gateway Trail that you can run. My personal favorite is actually to run from the 40th Street Trailhead at the Phoenix Mountain Preserve. I like the fact that you can kind of choose whether you want to climb or whether you don't want to climb. But we're very fortunate to have all sorts of trails. You venture out a little bit further from Phoenix, you've got, of course, the Black Canyon Trail, the Mogollon Rim, where the Mogollon Monster 100 takes place. You've got trails in Tucson. Arizona is very robust when it comes to the options and opportunities that you have to run trails. So
yeah, and if you're looking for a race, I mean, we have events going on every couple weeks. A lot of them are really close to Phoenix, so they're usually at a regional park that's close by to town, but a little bit out of town. So a lot of times you can get out onto the trails, and even though you're close to the city, you can kind of get lost back there, and you don't really feel like you're by anything, which is really cool.
And as a shameless promotional plug, our Aravaipa Group Trail Run page on Facebook actually features multiple trail runs with groups over the course of the week. On Mondays, rather, we do South Mountain as a group, and then on Wednesdays we have a rotating run that will hit various areas of the Phoenix area. We'll hit South Mountain, we'll hit the McDowells during the summer, we'll hit the Phoenix Mountain Preserve. There are several trailheads and areas to run from there. Papago Park, which is kind of centralized in the city, just north of Tempe. So we've got options around here. If you're here during the week, we invite you to check out and join us on those runs. Jamil tends to lead a group, and I tend to lead the, quote, fun group, the more exploratory and casual group. But we'd love to have you. We've got events, obviously races going on the weekends all the time. So thanks for asking, Lauren, and we hope to see you at an event.
Question or just a comment from Darling Runner PT on YouTube. Good, been watching off and on all day. Ran 13.5 miles today, came back, and they're still running. Thought I was tired. Yeah. That's awesome you got out. We also have one, Keith Kozlowski. What would be the next big event for these runners? Jackpot? I would say, I don't know, what do you think? I mean, in general, for fixed time type runners, across the years is the next big one.
Pete Kostelnick is doing the 6-day.
Yeah, some of the runners that are running today will be across the years. It's not universal by any means. Probably not recommended either, but yeah, they'll be out there. I'm trying to think what other, I guess Jackpot is one. There's quite a few fixed time events now. Actually, if you want to kind of, if you're really interested in fixed time races in general, I would recommend checking out the Facebook group Running Against Time. It's probably the best source for ongoing discussions or questions or discussion about fixed time running, fixed time events all across the world. There's actually, I saw there's a 20-day event going on right now in South Africa that just started, so definitely not a mainstream type of an event, but it's probably a great place to do 1,000 miles if you want to do that. Just an easy 50 a day.
John Lesterberg is noting that it is currently 66 degrees warmer there than here, meaning here as opposed to where he's at. So apparently it's about 9 below where he's at. Better you than us. Ken Rubelli, great event as always. Enjoying the live feed and was super happy to see Mark set a new PR. We were as well, and he was moving really well. It was really exciting to watch. When we, at least when I started to notice that he was approaching the 80-mile mark and he was still throwing down 155s with alarming consistency, that's when I actually pointed out to Jamil and to Patrick that we might get a potential sub-13, because you had actually said you'd hope to see somebody hit that mark.
Yeah, shout out to Ken Rubelli. He's actually the race director for Jackpot, where Mark Hammond had his previous personal best of 13:05. What? Ken Rubelli?
Maddie Gallipo has a question. Race recommendations for a first 50-miler in the Western U.S.?
What's that?
I said Maddie Gallipo is asking about race recommendations for a first 50-miler in the Western U.S.
Oh man, I mean, I'd be selfish and drop some of ours.
Honestly,
one that we just had was the McDowell Mountain Frenzy. It was last weekend. It's in December. It's a big exploratory loop in the McDowell Mountains, which is part of the Javelina course, but it has a lot. It's a lot more mountainous. So I really recommend that one for people that are, you know, thinking about doing their first in Arizona here.
Another one that we have out here is the Mesquite Canyon 50-miler. That's going to be in March. A different set of adversity, I would say. It tends to get quite warm during that race, but I know that that's a favorite, and I've heard I've never actually done it myself, but
I would
I've
say
heard a lot of
Zangrade
things.
50 mile, but now it's 100K.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
also
right.
really brutal.
It's extremely brutal.
Randy Cafaro, kind of more of a personal question for me. I'm dealing with, he says, Jamil, you're dealing with family, trying to get your runs and training for races and race directing, putting on races. How do you fit this all in and keep your sanity?
He's insane.
I'm absolutely insane. Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I pretty much, at this point, I'm not training for races. So something's got to give at some point, and that's currently what's giving.
Well, you've got a pretty fancy treadmill in your house now.
I do. I don't use it enough. But yeah,
gotten better.
there are ways. I mean, that is one thing. Using tools, like I did just get an incline treadmill trainer from Nordic Track, and that thing is just a beast. I can hop on it for, sometimes in a day I'm like, just have 15 minutes to get something in, and I can hop on that and I can get 1,000 feet to climb in. Kind of feel energized, it's great, and then move on with the day. So just need to up that from 15 to an hour. And I know it wouldn't count for this guy because it's indoors, but it's still fun. Brett Hansen says, team maybe coming up this way to Oregon, here in Bend, and we are everywhere, would be fun. Cool. I'm not sure I quite understand that. Maybe a little clarification. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could go up to Oregon. No plans anytime soon. We also got Brute Holbert. I'm planning to do my first 24-hour next month, either one day in Auburn or the Celtic Winter Classic. What do you see as the biggest challenge for 24-hour track versus a trail 100? I think, I mean, there's pluses and minuses to both probably. I think an advantage to the track for 24 hours is, as you can see, it's really well lit. There's huge stadium lights. We even put additional lights on the ends. So just psychologically, the more light you have, I think it produces something in your brain that keeps you more awake and alert. Whereas on a trail, it's darker and sleep deprivation is real. So I think that would be a challenge that would be tougher. I don't know, maybe a track it's easier to quit because it's so short.
Conversely, one of the things about a track, having done, not necessarily on a high school track, but I've done the Nardini Manor events as well as run trail ultras, I find that the continuous nature of the fixed time events on a closed loop course, it can kind of beat down on the same parts of your body with alarming repetition. You find yourself certain joints tend to hurt a lot faster when you're doing the same step over and over and over again. Whereas on trail, you get more variety. You're working different muscle groups. At a fixed time loop race, it's the same every single step almost. You kind of have to mix it up between running and walking to actually get that variation. Whereas on the trail, it comes a little bit more naturally.
We have Christopher Rossel. Hey Patrick, Tark, represent.
Woo! Yeah, trail animals.
Jenny Schofield, thanks guys for the coverage. Just finished Heavily 100 this year for first 100K. Shout out for James Elson. You guys put on great events. I'm glad
Jenny.
that you were out there, Jenny. I was out there cheering
you.
on some runners. You might have seen me, or then again, it might have been a mirage. Let's see if we've got any.
Yeah, YouTube, we're all caught up on comments and questions, but yeah, we got 28 of you in the chat room here on YouTube. Feel free to ask us your questions. We're just kind of sitting back, spectating, hanging out here in Phoenix at Central High and watching these people loop around. It seems like right now, kind of taking a stock of the field, most people seem to be moving pretty well on the track right now. I think you do kind of, a little bit after the sun goes down, even if you were struggling earlier in the day, you kind of, I mean, you're either done and you drop out, or you've kind of find your groove and settle in for at least the first half of the evening. Seems to be what's happening right now.
And the temperature has dipped, and the sun here is pretty powerful. So even though the temperature's really only gone down about 10 to 15 degrees, it feels like more. As you can see, my co-hosts are both in their coats, and I'm just actually waiting for an opportunity to put mine on. We've got a space heater up here that we'll probably
That's
be
off
putting
right
in.
now. Mr. Heater, got a shout out to Mr. Heater for hooking us up.
Nice.
Hashtag sponsor. A heater sponsorship is probably one of the best things ever. Even if you're in Arizona and it's 50 degrees.
Well, that's cold. That's what passes for cold for us.
Just Yep.
We did have a couple of questions earlier on. I'm going to kind of circle back around. We had people asking about standards, qualifying standards, and how to get into Desert Solstice. The standards are pretty high, and having talked to Nick Curry, it was he was of the mindset that those standards are probably going to be escalating
For next
as
year?
time goes on.
Definitely for next year, he was saying, I think due to the high performance of the 24-hour team this year at Worlds, there's already some auto qualifiers, right?
Yeah, let's take a
and
look at these.
basically, probably for men and women both, it's basically to get on the team for the next World Championship, which won't take place until 2021. Is that correct? I think it's every other year.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to hit some pretty huge numbers just because of what people have already done. Do you want to run through that?
Yeah, so like the actual standards for the USA team are men at a minimum need to hit 145 miles and women it's 130. But only the top 6 men and women actually make it. So just because you ran 145 or 130 miles doesn't give you a spot per se. So yeah, I think for men they're gonna have to look at getting over 160 miles in order to make the team. So 15 more miles than the minimum. And then for women, likely 15 to 20 miles over the minimum, probably close to 150 miles in order to make the team. So right now, the people who have qualified, really the only qualifier up until this point was 24-hour Worlds. So you have to qualify in between Worlds and 5 months before next Worlds. And so the runners who have qualified so far are, is it, how do you say his
I
name?
think it's Olivier.
Olivier LeBlanc, who gets an auto qualifier because he was the top American this year at Worlds with 171 miles, so he's automatically in. And then Jake Jackson, our top male runner last year here at Desert Solstice, he set a new PR at Worlds with 165 miles, so he's currently in the number 2 spot. And then Harvey Lewis with 160.7 miles, so that's the top 3 men currently, and there's 3 more spots to fill. But yeah, they're gonna really need probably close to 160 miles. And then for women, Camille Herron with the new world record auto qualifies with 167 miles. Pam Smith, 153. Micah Morgan, who didn't actually qualify for Worlds, but she went as the 7th alternate on the team. And she ran a new PR in 148 miles and one of the top performances of Americans there. And then Courtney DeWalter kind of gritted it out at Worlds to help the women's team win gold, and she ran 142.75. But I know there's, yeah, at least 3 or 5 other women who are all chasing after that mark. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of jockeying for position in the next year. So Desert Solstice, I know at Dawn to Dusk to Dawn, he was saying he's getting a number of emails from some top runners looking to qualify there. And what other venues? North Coast is like a pretty big venue.
Yeah, North Coast.
And Run for Water doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, there's only, I guess, I mean, there's plenty of 24-hour races out there, but there's only a few that really are suited for real fast times. I mean, you want a combination of good weather, good surface, and then also good competition. It's much easier to be able to push as a runner when you have several other runners up there pushing with you. I mean, we saw that last year at Desert Solstice with 3 runners within, what, like a mile of each other in the two of them within a lap of each other at the end, and that really gets the best out of yourself, I guess, having other runners there.
Derek Lee, 4545 on YouTube. Rolf Schmidt is looking solid. Pace looking solid. Representing Northwest Arkansas well. Thanks for the live coverage, guys. Been checking it throughout the day, so you may have already mentioned it, but just to brag on Rolf, he is the former 100-mile record holder for Kansas and the first U.S. finisher at Spartathlon. I think we had mentioned that. I think that was part of our information on runners as we were coming in today. Yeah. So when you mentioned the women's side, I was kind of doing the math in my head. So do we know if Marisa is going to keep on past the 100 mark?
Yeah, I think we might actually go check in with her crew soon.
Because if
when we were talking earlier, it didn't sound like that, but she definitely has the potential at the longer distances. I mean, she has the experience there, and if she's feeling good, then I mean, yeah, she's got another 9 hours to run, so she definitely has a shot at a spot. And there is no 100-mile world championships, so yeah, it's either 100K or it jumps to 24 hours. So for runners who want a chance to represent the U.S., which is a pretty incredible opportunity, yeah, it would be either 100K.
She's already at 91 miles. She's got 9 miles to do in like an hour 38 minutes.
Yeah, she's looked very solid.
Like, to get that sub 15.
Yeah.
Could be the only sub 15 in the
last
year.
lap pace. No.
She's been doing a steady 228, 229
okay, so she's
still.
on 10-minute pace, so yeah, if she holds pace,
231 the last loop, but I've been following her last
sure
few laps
she'll
at
pick it up,
227,
too.
228.
So Scott Traer has 15 laps to go before his 100. He's at 96.19. So he's
so he'll be sub 14.
sub 14. So yeah, we're basically going to see a sub 13, a sub 14 from our top two men, and then a sub 15 possibility for
break my PR.
what's your PR?
1350.
50?
1350, yeah. It's in jeopardy.
Uh-oh.
Watch out, Scott.
What's that? Uh-oh.
Oh. 15 laps.
Continue without any
That's
interruption.
miles.
So yeah, just to kind of circle back about the qualifying and everything, with all that, I mean, Desert Solstice being an IAU Gold Label event, just due to the competition, we could see a pretty stacked field next year with a lot of people turning up who are still looking for that competition to push together, to kind of work together to get one of those spots.
So do you foresee changing the standards to get in, or kind of see how many people apply? Because you don't want to like deny people if they've made the perceived standards, I guess.
Right. I mean, my brother is part of, I guess, the committee of deciding what the standards are, along with Haley, who directs it, and it sounds like they're probably going to tighten them up again.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, this year we did see a little bit, the kind of a smaller field, maybe less competitive, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if, and that might be a tightening of the standards just for next year in anticipation. Because we really, for people to have the best chance, we don't want too many people on the track. We don't want 40, 45 people, just too much.
And is there any prioritization of, say, 124-hour runners over people who have qualified with 50 or 100K standards?
I don't know that there's necessarily that. I think more it's, like, there is usually an A and B standard for this race, so you know, the A's would be preferable, and then the B's would maybe waitlisted. And then I think preference next year will be for people whose goal it is to go the full 24, with the secondary, if there's spots, also for 100 mile. If there's people kind of like this year that are just going for that 100K time, we have talked about, you know, maybe possibly doing, you know, a second day that's shorter, or something else like that for those types of things. 40 maybe like 36. No, we'll see. But so yeah, that's something to look forward to for next year. So Mark, let's see, Scott Trayer looks like he's probably less than 15 now. So 14 to go. So probably in a little bit we'll gear up and head down there, do some more trackside coverage.
Yeah, Scott Trayer, like you said, then Marisa is likely to hit it next after that, and then Oswaldo Lopez is looking like he's approaching the 90-mile mark. So, and he was looking for a sub 13 for the 100-mile. Obviously, that's going to be not going to happen. But at the same time, he is moving really well again. It looked like he was hurting for a while there, but his stride has definitely picked up, and he actually looks like he's found himself a second, or in this case, maybe a third wind. That's one of the amazing things about these 24-hour races, is that you go through so many cycles of, feeling great, and then, maybe not feeling great, but as Oswaldo is actually crossing the timing mat.
Yeah, I think it's important for runners to realize, I know this for myself, and I'm sure they are all trying to remind themselves this, that no feeling's permanent, and especially the longer the race, the more time you have to turn things around. So it's easy to feel in the moment as okay, I feel shitty now, and that's how I'm gonna continue to feel, but I don't know, often it's not going to get worse, and if anything, it has the potential to get better. So if you can push through the tough spots, you can kind of reach, get your groove again.
Let's see, Josh Hinojosa. Just wanted to give a shout out to Rolf. Rolf's got a lot of fans watching right now.
Where is he from too? Isn't he East Coast?
They said Northwest Arkansas was what somebody had mentioned.
Staying up a little bit later.
I had taken notes of a couple of runners. I think that, yeah, I believe the Prairie Spirit Trail, it must be the Kansas race that they were referring to, where he broke 16 earlier this year on a trail 100 miler. And then, as we mentioned, the Spartathlon, he was the top American male.
Marissa's in the yellow on the screen, right?
Yeah.
She just crossed by. Just to give the viewers an idea of who she is. And same with Scott, maybe point him out next time he comes across the screen.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to go down in maybe 5 minutes and then interview her crew and then move on to Scott?
To Scott, yeah, probably. I might go to the restaurant, but anyway. Cool.
Well, we're gonna we can just probably put the live feed on hold while we'll just take a quick break, so everything can get set up to be down trackside. And we'll catch up with you folks in just a little bit. Thanks for tuning in to Desert Solstice.
You want me to put this leaderboard back up a little bit?
Yeah.
All right, we are back live in the field. So we're at 13:50 on the clock, and we have Scott Traer rounding the bend now. He's approaching 100 miles. He's our current race leader today, or well, technically Mark's still in the lead, but after Scott goes through 100 miles, he'll be taking over the lead as he's continuing on for the full 24 hours. So here he is. Right now, here we go, Scott. And yeah, let's check out where he's at. So he's at 99.41 miles. So yeah, just another 2 and a partial lap to go. His last lap was 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is, I think, maybe right around 9-minute pace or so. And so yeah, it looks like he'll be definitely getting through in under 14 hours, which I think is a pretty substantial PR for him. But yeah, as we know, he's kind of got bigger plans than just the 100-mile mark. I think he's shooting for upwards of 150 miles. So definitely still a ways to go, another 10 hours of racing. And yeah, kind of just beginning. So we'll follow him through the finish, and then we also wanted to check in with Marisa Lizak and her crew. She is our top female runner today, and she is on pace for a sub 15-hour finish potentially, which would be the top female 100-mile time of the year. So yeah, we'll be checking in with her crew after we kind of watch Scott go through the finish. And yeah, so that's where we're at. And yeah, definitely still pretty lively here on the track. We've got the timing crew with their tunes jamming away. And yeah, most of the runners are still looking pretty energized. I mean, the field's definitely gotten a little smaller as people have left and either ended their days early or already achieved their goals. But yeah, no, there's quite a few people out there still looking very strong, which is exciting to see. Here we have Yvonne. She's approaching 80 miles and holding a pretty steady, just over 10-minute pace. And Scott coming through again around the bend. So yeah, just 1.5 more loops after this. Representing from Colorado, but I know he has a lot of fans back home in the Northeast, or my home at least, in his previous home. Here we go, Scott. He's definitely in the zone, jamming to some tunes. And holding right on the same pace, 220 per lap. That's pretty much exactly what he split for that previous lap. So yeah, we have our race director and heading over to the 100-mile mark to get his split. Looks like we have Pete Kostelnick taking a little break. I don't know if he's done completely or not, but looks like he's getting cozy and warmy. Yeah, and kind of here we have the full lineup of all the runners and their crews. So as they go through this 100-meter stretch, they have all their aid right there for them. So they pretty much never need to run carrying anything. They can check in every 2 to 3 minutes, which is very convenient. And here's the Grand Vipa aid station with pretty much everything you could ever ask for. All right, so Scott is got about 200 meters to go before he hits the 100-mile mark. So yeah, he'll be right around 13:56 or 57. Are we gonna cut out, do you think?
I want to stick here because it's going to keep going, right?
Yeah.
Little dance for us.
You have to pay for that. All right, so here comes Scott through. Sure, it'll be a nice feeling to get over that 100-mile mark. All right, here we go. Yeah, 13:56-ish. Way to go, Scott! All right, boom, there it is. Like he's I think he really wanted to get in under that 14-hour mark, so yeah, hopefully it takes some time to kind of reset, recover, and then enter that final. I mean, still 10 hours of racing ahead of him, but he's got a fairly substantial lead, so if he can hold it together. Who do we have right behind him? Oswaldo is our second, maybe, competitor. Well, actually, I think Marisa. Marissa's coming around the bend right now. So yeah, actually, we might see if we can find her crew and check in with them. Yeah, so we're going to check in. We know she's definitely looking for that fast 100-mile time, but we don't know if she's really continuing past the 100-mile mark. We kind of are secretly hoping, I guess she is, because that would be a pretty awesome performance. I'm not entirely sure which one's her crew, so we'll see if she stops at one of these aid stations. I think it might be these guys. Who are you crewing again? Marisa.
What's that?
Are you crewing Marisa or no?
No, Sarah.
Sarah, okay. Do you know who's crewing Marisa?
Jake.
These guys are crewing. Perfect. All right. Jake and crew, you guys are crewing Melissa or
no. Marisa, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Perfect.
We're doing Mark and Marisa.
Both, yeah. All right. We were just wondering, so Marisa, obviously, like, on track for a very fast 100-mile finish, sub 15 hours, potentially in the cards. Fastest 100-mile for female this year, excluding splits from the 24-hour.
Yeah.
But, yeah, is she planning on continuing past that 24 hours?
Yeah.
All right, love it.
I feel like this one, it tastes way different than the white one, so just test it. It's the only one I've tried. So, yeah, it's not very good. No? No. Okay. All right.
She's
Yeah, I didn't think so.
focusing on trying to auto qualify for Spartathlon.
All right.
So that was her initial goal for a fast 100-miler, and I think auto qualify is 16:30. So she's obviously going to do that.
Yeah, well, under that, okay.
So,
But she is going for the full 24
as
hours.
far as we know, yeah.
She's done that before, or no?
Yeah,
She
she's
has
done several
24
24 hours. I think
hours,
her PR is 130 at Across the Years
Okay.
last year. So.
Oh, yes, yeah, we
Yeah.
saw that. Okay.
So she's, right on track.
For
We've
sure,
been trying to get
yeah.
her to eat as much as possible. She's been kind of nauseous all day.
Yeah, has that
and-
been the biggest
yeah,
issue per se?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's running
Super
pretty.
consistent.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I think we haven't told her that she's gonna probably run the fastest 100-mile.
Yeah.
So we're kind of waiting for that. No.
Well, maybe don't, because that's like, just keep going.
Yeah, because then she
Yeah.
might be like,
Tell her
oh,
later.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, at least we can tell her that she auto-qualified.
For sure. Yeah, that'll be a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we're excited to see her
Yeah.
go through the 100-mile mark, and definitely glad to hear she's going on.
Yeah.
It'll make for exciting because she's not really even too far behind the overall leader and Scott, because she's second on the leaderboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so who knows? A lot can happen in the next 10 hours.
She's definitely experienced in doing these 20
Yeah,
races, so.
yeah, and it's Scott's debut at I think he has 124-hour under his belt. But yeah, it's kind of new territory for him. So yeah, definitely. Who knows what'll play out? Awesome. Well, thank you guys for filling us in.
Take another look at her coming down the chute, maybe.
Yeah.
That's all in the logo.
This one at least.
All right, so here's Marisa coming in. We just talked with her crew, and she's definitely looking strong and very consistent.
Should we take a look at Scott?
Yeah,
Just kind of
see how he's doing.
pre-bubble.
Yeah. Scott! Smells a little funky over here. Someone puking that.
Killer 100, dude, but go walk 2 laps.
Good work, man.
You want a dry shirt? You want something warm, or? Maybe I'll walk around.
You want a beer first?
Nah, I gotta get some more.
What happened to
Oh, he was on the ground.
yeah.
He's just sick.
Alright, let me walk a loop. See what happens, yeah.
Okay, high five.
Babu!
Yeah.
Are you Patrick?
Yes.
I know of you. I used to live in Boston.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, how long ago did you live in
I
Boston?
moved to Seattle about 4 years ago.
Okay, awesome, nice.
Yeah.
Your buddies with Scott, obviously,
Yeah.
yeah.
Still the TARC race.
Okay, nice, yeah. Yeah, I guess 4 years ago, that's kind of when I guess was just starting out with
Right.
the TARC stuff, and yeah. Were you running today, or you just hanging out? You did, okay.
Yeah, I freaking indoor soccer accident. 2
Oh
weeks
no.
ago. Gave myself a concussion, split open my eyebrow, and fractured my big toe.
Yikes.
And so I went until I
Just
couldn't
push
go
through, yeah. Nice, well,
anymore. Lived to fight another
yeah,
day.
for sure. Do we want to check out with anyone else?
How much time do we have until she gets hers? We have a while.
Yeah,
Take a
still
break. Maybe send it back.
another hour. Switch it up. What?